people get mad at the mask wearers, and I've seen many people get mad at the mask non-wearers. And it's pitted this, we're not just Democrats, Republicans, and this and that now. We're mask wearers and non-mask wearers, and everything has pitted us one against another. And at the very top, morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts, these have been turned on top of each other, and they've made us all be amoral, not as creative, not as spontaneous, not solving problems, and they're telling us we're all prejudiced. They're telling us we don't accept true facts, which they're presenting the facts as truth, and it really isn't. So, as I tell everybody in my mentoring, we are here to learn to use energy. In the third dimension, we have the duality where we can choose good, we can choose bad, we can choose hot, we can choose cold, whatever. But we need to learn the righteous use of energy. Because righteousness, which is what Jesus Christ taught and the gurus before him, is the rightful use of energy. Christ consciousness is the way of righteousness. Freedom and empowerment is the gift for all. So, the enslavement and disempowerment is the opposite of what God teaches. Loving thoughts and unconditional selfless service is the mystical which gives power to the whole. We are all one. And when half the population is disempowered and loses their freedom, it affects the whole. And so now we got to all wake up and help everybody get their freedom and empowerment again. Using Christ consciousness or love in all things leads to our ascension. So, I'm at the end of our slides, and I'd like to open this up to conversation about what I just said, because I know I'm being very deliberate, and if you want to find the truth of what's going on, Dr. Mercola has a great things. He's got all the references at mercola.com, and so I just want to suggest that you see this. I've known Dr. Mercola for 30 years and first met him at a conference way back in the mid-90s when I started doing full-bore alternative medicine. So, good. We can hear you. Good. Okay. The first question is, can the autoimmune disorders infect us? Of course they can. Autoimmune is caused by viruses. And viruses are what's causing this current problem that we're having. And because of that, most doctors have been taught we don't know what causes autoimmune. But in actuality, we do. It's viruses. And viruses can alter our DNA because they get into our DNA, they replicate, and they produce things. Now, the newer viruses, RNA viruses, don't naturally occur in nature. And I can tell you this from years and years of research. I was a geneticist, and we found that most of the viruses that are RNA viruses were actually developed in the lab. And these retroviruses, they call them retro because RNA actually has to convert into DNA to affect the human genome or human DNA. And it goes in and alters the DNA and inserts whatever the RNA messenger is into our DNA and starts producing autoimmune, because it becomes, instead of being our own cells, it alters the cells to become invading cells, and so our body starts attacking these cells with these viruses in, causing inflammation, swelling, and the deterioration of the tissues. This is autoimmune disease. So, viruses cause autoimmune disease because our body starts attacking itself, which is the definition of autoimmune. So it just doesn't occur out of the blue. It's because of viral material getting into our cells, altering the cells so that our body doesn't recognize it as self, so our immune system starts attacking this. And it causes chronic fatigue, it causes chronic aches and pains, it causes low energy because our immune system's fighting our own body because of these viral infections. So, that's how we get infected. Now, if our work forces us to vax, what can we say to not take the vaccine? Well, according to the law, you can refuse to be jabbed because of religious reasons, because of beliefs, spiritual beliefs. Now, they're trying to legislate that this is no longer valid because they're making religion no longer valid. They're making spiritual thinking no longer valid. And so they're trying to cancel this out, and our legislatures need to be told on a level of all of us that we don't want to be vaccinated. Now, the propaganda machine, and this was, whenever a socialist government starts taking control, they start using propaganda to manipulate we the people. And when they're manipulating us to the extent they're manipulating us right now, the socialists are in power. And so we need to literally be more vocal and tell our representatives, tell our senators, tell the president, we do not want this. And you know what, when they start getting this, they start punishing the people who are not following the recommended things by the powers that be, because that's how socialism survives. That's how communism survives. They re-indoctrinate you, they manipulate you, they punish you if you're not following what they're telling you to do. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So, all this technology, this new technology, believe it or not, this is what destroyed previous civilizations. When they gave the power to those in control and they started being manipulated, fertility rates went down like they're happening now. The birth of babies goes down. The manipulation of babies and children goes up, and the propaganda proliferates because people don't investigate for themselves. They just believe what they're hearing and seeing on the screen. They're being programmed. They don't call it programming for nothing. It's exactly what they found could be used, especially in color. When you see something in color, like the old TV sets in black and white, you'll notice there wasn't a lot of propaganda. But as soon as color TV came in, the propaganda started being even more manipulated by the Majestic 12 and all of these organizations, the CIA, the KGB, all of them we're involved with each other, believe it or not, for the manipulation of the planet. Okay, so, this article last night in the links, an FDA PDF. Okay, Jade shared a very important link, and thank you. We'll send this to everybody. Okay, so everyone can put their questions. Okay. So here's the next question. How long? Oh, never mind. Okay, what happened at the start? I'm recording this and we will post it on YouTube. It'll probably be taken down, but we'll hopefully have it in a private space where you can see it also. Okay, so we're going down to the questions. The film industry is requiring vaxxers to get a job, and production people are all vaxxers. My daughter is being pressured to get one by these people, and she needs a reason they will accept. Anti-vaxxers are being blacklisted or not asked to work. She's torn. I told her, you're allergic to the serum or they aren't approved by the FDA. Neither answer would be accepted by anti-vaxxers. Please help. Now, this is the problem. They're these big corporations, believe it or not, their bosses and controllers of all the stock are these 12 billionaires on the planet. And so they control what the corporations can and can't do. One of the reasons this first thing in the shutdown happened was to close down all the private companies that employed 50% of the people here in the United States. Now, in other countries, I don't know the numbers, but these companies were shut down and only vital companies were left open. Now, I was lucky in that, I sell herbs and vitamins and things like that, and luckily our governor said, oh, you're an essential industry, so I was able to stay open. But I got really censured because I was making things that were actually helping with the current problem. And so I had to be very careful what I do, what I say, and even now I have to be careful what I do and say because, of the censoring and the propaganda machine. They don't like people like me telling people to go within, ask for the truth, because your soul knows what's right and wrong. And as we ask, as we go within, you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now, Jesus taught this. And so it's very important for us to know that if a corporation is requiring to get the jab, we know that that corporation isn't one that we want to work for in the first place, because we'll be in that propaganda machine. And all the corporations right now are involved in this because they're owned by these few billionaires in the world. Believe it or not, they hold a controlling amount of stock in all these companies. And these companies are making more money than ever because of the propaganda and the problems. So all I can tell you is go to work for somebody who isn't requiring these things, and you'll know they're people who know the truth, and they're not going to put you into the paradigm of the destruction, the Newtonian paradigm of all of these people who want to control the planet. Okay, I hope that answers your question, because it doesn't have an easy answer, but my answer is seek employment with good people. People who are not requiring you to go against what your free agency is. Guess who gave you your free agency? God. God gave us free agency to choose what we do. Guess who takes away your free agency? Well, I'm not going to answer that because you know the answer to that. Okay. I wrote the comment in the question section. I didn't get to introduce him, so could not front load this. Sorry about that. Okay. They've got another link in the chat, so you can go to these different things and find answers. Okay. So, let's see. I have a question about the jabs. Okay, well, how do I get my picture on the screen instead of just my name? Oh, I'm not a techie, so I can't help with that. Okay. Okay, let's see. We're told we, Earth, are in the photon belt, and that will drastically shift and change our current reality. What do you have to say about this? Well, absolutely. We're in receiving more light. And believe it or not, that light is waking up more people. They found that light actually contains information, and that information helps us to awaken our consciousness. Now, we've been in, the Dark Age, they said, ended with the Enlightenment period when, all the people came out and they started making better music. They started creating more stuff, Leonardo da Vinci and, all of the great writers of music and Shakespeare, all these people. And then, when the United States was first initiated, the founding fathers went into deep prayer. They actually had prayer before every meeting they had, asking God what they should do about the problem of England bringing more and more taxes to the colonies of Great Britain. And it wasn't just the colonies here in the United States, it was the colonies in India, the colonies all over the British Empire. They were making, back then, millions of pounds of profit off of all their colonies, their empire. And they had total control over the people in these empires. So don't think that you're the first ones being manipulated. The United States became a part of the British Empire again back in 1871 because we had this huge debt and we sold the debt to the bankers in Europe, and they then started controlling what was going on in the United States of America back in 1871 of all times. And so everything that was orchestrated after this, the Spanish-American War, that was actually a war between Great Britain and Spain, the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean conflicts, Vietnam, all of these were orchestrated by powers making money and trying to control the land of the earth. Now, some of the countries became communist countries, and they were actually controlled by other nefarious people. And as you look at history, the United States became a part of the problem. Instead of us being freedom and causing that other countries would look at us and endeavor to become free, we became the police of the world. And our military actually was out there policing the whole world, and our CIA was manipulating the economies of the whole world. And now they're manipulating the economy of the U.S. because they want us to be subdued and become a part of the New World Order. And so this is the bottom line of history. So, in answer to your question, okay, are we waking up? Yes, we are. In fact, in 2012, when we were supposed to go through the ascension process, which our sister solar system, Alpha Centauri, their Class M planet, their Earth-like planet Alpha Centauri, went through the ascension. What is the ascension? It's moving into the fifth dimension. So they had a new sun appear in Alpha Centauri, and this has been proven. It's 4.5 light years away from Earth, and a new sun appeared in 2017, approximately 5 light years later. Our telescope saw a new sun appear around Alpha Centauri because they went through the ascension. Earth was supposed to go through the ascension at that time, but the cabal had controlled everything so well, there wasn't enough humans to pull the rest of the humans along and wake them up in order to go through the ascension process. So the ascended beings have redone the scenario, and God wins. Project Looking Glass no longer shows a way for the cabal to win. Why? Because God and the ascended masters, the ascended beings, the higher dimensional beings are actually here assisting us, and they're going to stop what's going on. But they can't totally intervene because we humans, in the universal laws of God, we have to make free choice, and we have to choose to follow God. We have to choose to evolve. How many are happy here in this existence right now? I'm happy because I know I'm following God's laws. But there's many humans who are outright miserable. In fact, more people committed suicide in 2020 than died from the flu. Okay, that's a proven fact because they became so dissatisfied, so despondent, they actually took their own lives. More people, you don't hear about this number. I do. And let me tell you, it's been horrendous. And it's horrendous, when people die of the flu. But 300 million die from the flu every year on planet Earth. How many died from this? Same amount. Why? Because it's the same. But, you look at